Suwannee 230, 2023. Good afternoon. My name is Bobby Johnson. This is my All-Star Starboard. Just finished the Suwannee 230 river race in Florida, and I just wanted to share a little bit about it, the items I used, paddle I used, and my setup. So overall, the board's still in good shape. Yeah, excuse the mess, we're under construction here at the house. A lot of dings from the paddle. This river's 233 miles long. Overall, the board held up real well. Didn't hit anything that hard with it. The rudder did take a little bit of abuse in the back, but it wasn't much. Nothing I couldn't sand down. I tried to get my weight off the board as fast as possible and bring it to the front, or the weight off the rudder as fast as possible and bring my weight to the front and get down low so the board would just ride over a tree or anything I happened to see at the last second. One ding here in the front, not bad. I don't know really how that happened. There are rapids on the river, the Big Shoals State Park. However, the insurance for the race does not allow us to run the rapids. We have to portage around them, which is no big deal. You really don't want to take the risk of ruining your boat. That limestone rock will tear holes in roto-molded plastic. So it would do a number to carbon fiber and fiberglass and anything not nearly as durable. So here we go. Well, first and foremost, I start during the day. We start at 7:30 a.m. So one of the first things we do when we wake up is get ready. Get ready is usually consists of putting some petroleum jelly or Vaseline on in any region that's going to create heat and friction. So you don't want to get chafed on these races, especially if you're running salt water. Second thing is sunscreen, hat, sunglasses. So I always carry a wide brimmed hat with me. It's very lightweight. It's made by OR. I use a leash on my board. It goes right around my waist. It's real solid. Some clips. Sometimes I'll connect it to the front leash mount. And this one I put it towards the back. I just liked the cable being behind me for this long distance race. Felt better. Anytime I needed to kneel down to eat, I had a pad, which you can see is pretty wore out. During the day, I would run a waist belt, life preserver. Pretty simple, nice and lightweight. Doesn't bother you. Doesn't bother your skin. Doesn't get in your way when you're paddling. You always turn on your spot when you start these races and keep an eye on them. The reason it's in a phone case is because these are not very waterproof. You would think something that's supposed to help keep track of you and possibly save your life if you needed it would have a better IP rating. This one probably has an IP rating of 8, which basically it's splash proof. So you put it in a phone case and zip tie it to your leash mount, or I do, and it doesn't go anywhere, and I don't have to worry about it. And all I have to do is look back over my shoulder and look for the 3 green blinking lights that notify me that it's on and it is sending signal. If you do see a red light flashing, that means it does not have GPS and something is wrong. So you always want to keep an eye on that. We used the Pro Paddler app this year. Jeez, I'm sorry, we did not use the Pro Paddler app. I'll get back to you on that one. RaceOwl, that's what we used. However, I had an issue with it in the beginning, so I was not tracking on RaceOwl. They were updating me at all the checkpoints on RaceOwl. I always carry a bag with me. This bag is on the boat 24/7, whether it's day or night. Inside this bag is first aid. I've never had to use it, thankfully. A toothbrush, caffeine pills, first aid, Band-Aids. Band-Aids really come into play with your hands every once in a while if you're not keeping them. I use a lot of Aquaphor in my hands. Here's the Aquaphor. I'll put this on my feet and on my hands periodically during the race. Anytime I start feeling warm spots where the calluses are starting to come in or blisters are starting to come in, I'll apply it. It doesn't take much, just a little bit. It does give the paddle a slippery feel. So, you know, just wipe your hands on your pants or your shorts. Again, it doesn't take much. It really absorbs in well, but it keeps a waterproof barrier on your hands. And this race in 233 miles, you can see it. That's the leftover of a pretty decent blister. Just wrapped the Band-Aid around it and kept on going. And there was a couple other hot spots on my hands, and wrap those up with some Band-Aids too. Some ibuprofen. Actually, I usually put Advil in here with salt pills. I do use a lot of salt pills, mostly on the first day, just to help with getting that hydration. I try to do it before I even start. Use this highlight, seems to work for me good. It has electrolytes, minerals. I kind of just kept this from the Texas Water Safari. It's a snake bite kit. I don't think I'll ever use it, but hey, never know. Sunglasses. They're very important. So I have a case, and inside this case is a sunglass cleaner. This year I did bring a small rudder. I don't know how good this would have been, but I thought if the water was a little lower and a lot of the rapids and rocks were shown, because there's other rapids besides the rapids at Big Shoals. You have the little shoals, you have some before I-10, and then up further in the beginning of the river. So I did bring a screwdriver and a rudder. Wasn't that big of a deal. Here's my repair kit, some duct tape. Brought some compression socks. I did not use them. I usually have a lot of problems with my feet, but my feet were just wonderful this year. And that's it. That's all that's in that bag. I do have a lighter in there too, just in case, maybe a fire. But wasn't planning on doing any sleeping this year. I was just planning on running it straight. The goal was to run consistent 5 miles an hour plus to have an overall average of 5 miles an hour, so I could go sub 2 days. The current record was 56 hours, held by Scott Baste, a fine sup paddler, way beyond my capabilities. So I just wanted to come in and stay at that 5 mile an hour average overall, and that would give me a new record, and also sub 2 days. And sub 2 days is always a good thing to get on the Suwannee 230. It took me 2 years to do it in a kayak. This is my, well, before we go to the hydration system, I always have 2 speakers. Waterproof. The thing you buy electronics, you want an IP67 rating. They have a very good seal. It's rechargeable, so you can give it to your crew, and your crew can charge it while you have the other speaker. So I always run 2 speakers, and it's nice to have those jams. The last 30 miles of this 233-mile race, I was in pretty bad shape. I was having a real hard time standing up. My knees were just jello. The board was vibrating underneath my feet. It just had this weird pulsating going on, and it was me causing it. And I turned some music on within the last 10 miles of the race and just cranked it. And it got me going, brought my knees and legs back to life. Music is very important to me. I always carry a waterproof case. Inside this waterproof case, I had all of the checkpoints on a piece of paper. I just cannot believe they're still written on there. Usually they get wet. Just certain stops that Greg Wingo is going to meet me at. And this is what I carry my phone in also. Always keep it attached. Try to keep everything that you carry attached to your board, kayak, surf ski, because things will disappear on you, mostly when you're really tired. I lost my first Alabama 650 hat this year. It was stupid that I even brought it. I also lost a pad, maybe a little bit of my mind. That's about it. Fortunately, I didn't lose the race, so that usually makes up for losing other things. This was the hydration system I went with this year. I bought 2 8-inch, I believe they're called polyfoam blocks, and I just shaped them. They're super easy to shape. So just a knife. And the reason I have this set up is because this one's gotten a little loose. I've got a 5-foot hose here, 4 feet, I think it's 5. Shut-off valve. Super easy just to grab it, or I could loop it underneath my belt and just grab it real quick. Some people thought it was going to be really hard to bring that much fluid up that high. Not that I'm tall. Actually, it was incredibly easy. I guess when it was hard is because I had this shut. Once I popped that and gave it a little vent, brought the fluid right up to me. And I use a mix, an infinite mix. Use GoFar. Just keeps me going. I don't have to eat as much food. I had half a sandwich a day maybe. So anyways, the main reason for running these 2 half-gallon jugs are they're extremely cheap. They're only $7 a piece. They're light. They keep the fluids nice and cool. Mostly in the heat of Florida. I was in the 90s, and to have some ice, cold drink. I'm normally used to drinking things with no ice in them. So I was going to run a camelback, and that's what I usually do run when I'm paddling these paddle boards. But since I wasn't going 3.33 miles around a track in Sarasota this time, this is my second paddleboard race. I did not want the weight of a camelback on my body. The constant going up and down your form of paddleboarding with a 10 pounds of weight on my back seemed like it would possibly drain me, and I didn't want to risk it. So this is my hydration system, and it worked really well. And it looks kind of cool. For electronics, other than this spot, I had my phone on me the entire time, which had all my music downloaded to it. I usually turn my phone, or I do turn my phone, keep it on airplane mode with the battery saver enabled, with all apps off and not running except for Bluetooth for my speaker. I'll turn it on every once in a while just to see if I have a message that I need. Usually I can get cell reception on majority of the rivers. I just kind of turn it on and keep paddling until I hear a message beep, and then I know I'm in range. If you're wondering why this is discolored, I did take my sticker off from the last power standing not too long ago, so it kept the old color on. Of course, the Florida sun loves a fade. I bought this board last year in November, just before the last power standing, to try out the world of paddleboarding. So back to electronics. Phone, spot, speaker, and a speed coach. I love these things. Turn it on so you can see what it looks like. This keeps track of, so that memory full goes off. Keeps track of your distance, your speed, how many strokes, the distance per stroke, how far your boat is traveling per stroke, how much time you're on the water. Okay, I'll post a couple pictures when I was on the race. Of course, it has time too. That's always nice. Cause I don't like wearing a watch on my. I do have a watch. That's another electronics I wear. I just like to put my watch somewhere on the boat so it's not bothering my wrist. Ring comes off. You don't want any jewelry on your hands when you're paddling a long distance. Your hands can swell up. Your feet can swell up. Anybody who wears ankle bracelets, your ankles can swell up. So, using this speed coach for 233 miles paddled, it was almost 110,000 strokes. 100,000 for sure, but upwards of 110,000 strokes to do 233 miles. That's a lot of paddling. A lot of strokes on a paddleboard. Great board. Comes out at about 27 pounds. Super stable. Love the sides on the board. You have to be careful though. If you do fall off, you want to clear these lips, these ridges. They can really do a number to your shins. Couple stickers are from Florida, from America. This is the carbon sandwich layup. It's held up really, really well. One thing I did modify on this board, this is sanded down. Took a machine and I sanded down the diamond pattern. Well, you can see that there. So this was nice and flat for my feet. I did not like the diamond pattern. It really irritated my feet. So this was a huge improvement. I wish they would have used this material up there. The Sprint paddleboard I have, the version has something like this, nice and smooth. And it's pretty surprising how long that took to sand down. Well worth it though. Nice solid handles. You can attach one to the center line, or there are multiple different attachment points. So you can grab this with two hands and just run with it jump out into the surf. It's really nice to get on a paddleboard while you're running with speed. Jump on it like a skimboard almost, and then just start paddling. So nighttime, come over here. Nighttime, I would get rid of the lap belt, and I would go with a regular PFD, which has my knife on it. I can get to it really quickly if I need to. Not that I've ever needed to get to my knife other than maybe to cut something. I have a PLB attached to it. Whistle here, and I can just stuff any kind of food or whatever inside here. I was wearing shorts with pockets, so I was keeping some food in there. But I guess the main reason I wore this at night is comfort. The PFD lap belt, it doesn't give you any comfort. You still have to engage it if you fall off. It's amazing that's even Coast Guard approved. Whereas this, if I did fall off in the middle of the night, because my rudder caught something, I would fly off and maybe hit something and knock myself out. At least I'm floating. So there was some comfort in that. I did bring a spotlight. That was crucial in getting the time this year. It was really dark that first night. If anybody knows the Suwannee River, the trees are on top of you at those first night. There's usually fog, which we were very fortunate to not have fog this year. And it's really hard to see. Even if it's the moon's out or the stars are bright, it just doesn't give you enough light to make the turns comfortably. Not to mention there will be an oak tree on the inside bend, or even an outside bend, or maybe an old dead tree sticking up in the middle of the river. So you might not see it until it's just, you don't have enough time. So it'll be too late. You'll hit it and fall in like some racers did this year. And no one wants to be in a river in the middle of the night in Florida. I always bring a life jacket, or no, I'm sorry, a rain jacket. This is really wore out. We weren't expecting rain. I do have a nicer rain jacket. This one just not only keeps a little bit of the moisture off you, it keeps you warm at night. I've had this jacket from day one. The first Everglades challenge I did 7 years ago. This, you can see it's pretty wore out. It's an old Columbia jacket. I did bring it with me also because it's kind of good luck. Headlamps, Black Diamond Storms. These are IP67 rated, meaning they can go underwater for 30 minutes at 3 feet and survive. They have a clasp. Let's just take a minute. With a seal that goes around. I run just regular Duracell batteries. The Energizer lithium batteries are absolute garbage. Well, they're good when they work. I've only opened up 10 brand new packages, maybe 15 brand new packages of Energizer lithium batteries at a cost of $25 for 4 of them. They're so expensive now, and they don't work. Dead completely. So that's what I run at night. Headlamp, spotlight. What I would do with the spotlight is I would mount it on the front of my paddleboard, and actually just piled some stuff up here, and I mount it right here, and I'd turn it on, and I would pile the board left to right to look into the bends up ahead. And then when I saw they were clear, I just turn it off and paddle through them, or I leave it on. Last but not least, paddle. This is the new Stingray paddle, made by Quick Blade. So it's an odd one. This is my old Quick Blade. So let me switch these around. Bear with me. Show you the shape of these. This is your conventional. Some are a little wider than that, not by much. This is the new one. And you can tell why it's called Stingray. It is the shape of a stingray. There's a couple differences, I mean, besides the obvious of these paddles. One being the shapes. The other one reason I really enjoy this paddle is the shaft is thicker. It tapers down when you get down towards the blade. There is a difference between these shafts, and it's a lot easier on your hands to have a thicker shaft over 230 miles. It has a foam handle, which has held up really well, where my old paddle had a carbon fiber to match the shaft. These are both carbon fiber. Now I compared these blades. I went out for a 15 mile run on this paddleboard, and I brought both these blades with me because I was, a bit skeptical. I had my speed coach on, and I'm not about to take a brand new Stingray paddle on a 230 mile race just because someone's telling me that it's winning all the races. I got to know for sure that it's going to be right for me. So I went out and I paddled for 2 hours with my Quick Blade, and I watched the speed coach the entire time. And then I grabbed the Stingray and I ran 2 hours with that. There is a noticeable difference in speed. So I thought maybe I'm just doing something wrong. Let me go back to my old one. So I did. And again, the Stingray was faster. The other thing about the Stingray is it's a shorter length. My original Quick Blade paddle was 78 inches. I'm 5'10". Well, I wish I was 5'10". I'm like 5'9 3/4". I used to be 5'10". I'm getting shorter. So I've always had this at 78 inches. And Jonathan from Vermont Ski and Sport told me that this new Stingray blade calls for a shorter shaft. So they cut this down to a 71 for me, which I was skeptical. I have a hard time saying that word. However, I love the 71-inch shaft. Before I actually purchased this new blade, I felt like when I was out paddling that I was putting out too much energy with a 78-inch shaft, and I kept having thoughts of cutting it down maybe 3-4 inches just to see how it felt, because it just seems like it puts too much stress on your body. So after running the 71-inch, I did cut down my old blade down to 73, and I enjoy this one a lot more now. However, I wasn't about to bring it when this one's faster. So, thanks, Jonathan. Thanks, Quick Blade. It helped. Hope you enjoyed the video.